Hey there, welcome to What You Up To Now. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. Day 1563, financial options to stay in the black. Our idiom for supersize your business day. No, this is funny. My daughter was giving me a hard time yesterday, and she's like, why do you always say what day it is? And I said, because as we post things, we need to have a title for it for the podcast and to keep track of. And she's like, well, nobody does 1,500 of anything. That's like more than one podcast. I said, well, I guess I'm not everybody or anybody. I'm just me, and this is what I do. So maybe that's not a good reason. Maybe I need to come up with a different title and a different way of keeping track of where I'm at. But it reminds me that maybe I should go back and look at where I've been and what I'm doing, and then consider what am I doing moving forward. But this is the segment that I just journal and keep track of what's going on as I've gone from brick and mortar corporate businesses, brick and mortar and corporate America, to the online world. And it's just documenting my business journey, what's working, what's not. I guess I could share more of what isn't working as I go through different stages. If that's something that'd be of interest to you, please hit me up and let me know. Today we talked about in the red and in the black, two different idioms, financial idioms for the month of May, that talk about accountants and how they keep track of income and expenses, but really profit and loss over the course of the year. If you're negative at the end of all the financial statements, you get a red number, and that should be a red flag to stop and pay attention and figure out what are we going to fix so that we can get in the black and stay in the black. So I shared at least 10, probably a dozen or more different ways and things to do in your business in order to keep you in the black and out of the red. Why? Because I've been in both, and I've worked with businesses that have been in both. And it's really challenging that when you're in the red and you're not making money in your business, to hire or to ask for help and get help in getting in the black. But a lot of times if you don't, your business isn't going to survive. So we talked about different ways to do that. For our annual challenge, the BU 365-day challenge, we are going through the SOAP framework, and we're on the O of the SOAP framework today, and that is with respect to finances. Again, this month, this segment, May, we're talking about financial well-being, financial health, and applying the SOAP framework to one financial related thing that we want to change, we want to improve. Maybe it's get a new job, get a new car, maybe it's get a different stream of income. Me personally, it's to raise money for a family trip that we want to go on to my nephew's wedding in Texas. So instead of, taking money out of savings or working capital or whatever we might do, or out of my, saving money up from my income, I like to find another way of finding the money to do the things I want to do. So last year I shared as a financial option, how am I going to make $10K to replace the storm damage that we had on the house? Now, we had insurance for the new roof, so I didn't include that. But things that weren't covered by insurance, like the front porch that got damaged and ripped off, some siding and things that insurance said, yeah, we'll give you $100 to replace one piece of the siding, which would be ridiculous. How are we going to replace the siding, things like that? So one thing I did was, okay, 0 to 10K. So for this one, I'm going to go 0 to 6K. So I figured $6,000 ought to get the family to Texas for a long weekend or for a week to all be together. The family's never all been together in Texas. So I think that would be a really awesome experience. And some of the cousins have never met one another. My youngest granddaughter has never met her Florida, soon to be New Mexico cousins, and she's only met one. Oh, she hasn't met any of her Texas cousins either. So it would be awesome to have her go down and meet her 4 Texas cousins, her 2 soon to be New Mexico cousins. And my other granddaughter has only met one of the Texas cousins, and she has met the Florida. They were in Florida, but now they're moving to New Mexico this spring. She has met both of those cousins. So she's met 3 of her cousins, but it'd be awesome if everybody could get together and meet. And, my mom's down in Texas half the year or more these days. So it'd be fun to get everybody down there. So that's my financial story or situation. I'm going to go from 0 to 6 to 10K. And so how am I going to do that? So today, the O is all about coming up with options and different alternatives and possibilities of creating and generating and getting access to those funds. Now, we brainstorm whenever we're thinking of options or possible solutions to a problem, brainstorming is always the go-to strategy and tool. Why? Because it's one of the fastest, easiest ways to create a whole bunch of alternatives. And we can either brainstorm on our own or we can get other people. We talked in past months about at least 10 different types of brainstorming. There's all different types of brainstorming depending on your situation and whether you want to get other people involved or not. If you're doing it yourself, I always say brainstorm at least 10 possible options, at least 10. The more the better, but 10 for sure. And then out of those, we're going to pick 3 to move on to the next step of the SOAP framework to analyze and figure out what's best for us, right? We're going to analyze and decide what to take action on. A stands for action in the SOAP framework. So O stands for options. S, story, situation. We're going to describe what that is, what it is, what we want it to be. So what's our current situation? What do we want our situation to be? And then that creates this gap that we're filling in with the rest of the SOAP framework, the O, the A, and the P. So today we talked about options of brainstorming, and I shared a tool, one of my favorites, called the Power Vision movie. Learned it from Jim Edwards. I don't even know how many years ago now. It's been a very long time. I'd have to go back and figure it out and look at my notes and find out when the heck did I actually start and get introduced to Jim. It was definitely the early 2000s. I mean, very early 2000s. It could have, I don't think it was the late 90s. I think it was the 2000s. I'm not positive. I've been online a long time. Not online a long time, but watching the online world and tweaking and participating with different things for a long time, a couple decades now for sure. So that was our O for the SOAP framework, our financial options, because we always want to have financial options. And guess what? Financial options help to keep us in the black and out of the red, no matter what's going on in the world around us, right? So those are a couple things that I created this morning already, and then I will go about my day. I guess a topic that I would love people's input on is when I first came online, not exactly when I first came online, but pretty early on, I started to be pajama grandma. And I wanted to, after about a year, get rid of the pajama grandma persona, but I still have a pajama grandma page and people still come to pajama grandma for things. And I did it as a marketing thing. And because it was pretty much me at the time, I was going through some massive changes, especially with respect to my health and my vision. And I found being at home and being online and on the internet, I was in my pajamas a lot, and I was a grandma, and I was excited and delighted, and I still am to be a grandma. And so pajama grandma, people like Jim Edwards and Dana Derricks and other people that I was interacting with and coaching with said, hey, yeah, that's a good idea. You are the pajama grandma. And I didn't build it out as a persona or as a brand. And I decided I didn't want to. And I was going to kill pajama grandma off. But then the pandemic hit, and it seemed in very poor taste and inappropriate. So I switched in 2020 over just to being and doing a lot of work under my name, Sharon Horne-Ellstrom. Yet I haven't specifically branded myself. And I have massive mindset resistance to that. But I guess I'm curious and looking for feedback from people. So I'll just leave it open-ended and say, I would love some feedback from you in terms of what you like, what you don't like, what you want to see, what you don't want to see. I guess, getting it from my daughter helps, but it's interesting to determine what direction to go next. And do I need to say 1563, 1564? That's a lot of days, right? A lot of days in a row. But that's me. I do a lot of stuff. All right. If I can help you anyway, ask. Remember, we still got the 5-minute thing. If you don't know what that is, you'll have to listen and find out. Otherwise, I will be with you tomorrow.